Skinwalker Ranch. I never thought I'd find myself at Skinwalker Ranch, a place infamous for strange occurrences and weird legends. It was a place I'd always been curious about, but nothing could have prepared me for this experience that awaited. As I walked the desolate grounds of the ranch, the air grew thick with an unexplainable tension. The sky above was overcast, casting a gloomy pallor over the forsaken landscape. My boots crunched on the gravel path, the only sound to break the silence. I'd heard countless stories of inexplicable phenomena here, from UFO sightings to cryptid encounters, but I never truly believed them until that day. I'd come here to investigate, to document the strange occurrences that had made Skinwalker Ranch so infamous. My camera dangled from my neck, ready to capture any evidence of the paranormal. Little did I know that I would soon become part of the very story I was trying to unravel. As I explored the ranch, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The surrounding trees seemed to twist and writhe with a sinister energy, and the rustling leaves sounded like whispers of intent. I thought of turning back, but my curiosity pushed me forward. It was then that I saw it, a figure in the distance. It moved with an uncanny grace, too fluid and too silent to be human. My heart pounded as I focused my camera on the approaching silhouette. The creature had the form of a man, but its movements were animalistic, almost predatory. The closer it got, the more I realized that something was terribly wrong. Its skin was mottled and dark, like a rotting corpse. Its eyes glowed with a yellow light, and its face twisted into a grotesque mockery of a smile, revealing sharp teeth. The stench of decay filled the air, and my instinct screamed at me to run, but I was frozen in place. The Skinwalker advanced with an unnatural speed, and our eyes locked. I felt its presence, its intent to consume me, to steal my very identity. I tried to cry out, to scream for help, but my voice got caught in my throat. The world around me warped and distorted, and I felt as if I was losing myself. In that moment of paralyzing terror, I realized the Skinwalker was not just stalking me, it was hunting me. It wanted to wear my skin, to become me. It wanted to make me a part of the twisted legends that surrounded Skinwalker Ranch. Just when I thought I'd be consumed by the creature, it had disappeared. Everything was back to normal, and I was left trembling, my camera still pointing at the ground where the Skinwalker had been. I could hardly believe what had transpired, and I'm sure you won't believe me either. I stumbled back from the scene, my heart racing, and made a hasty retreat towards the Skinwalker Ranch. The legends were true, and I had come face to face with the Skinwalker, a creature of the dark that wanted to prey on me. Nestled Woods. I'd ventured into the wilderness to escape the stress of city life, to find solitude among the shadows and the silence. But the solitude had become oppressive, and the shadows seemed to harbor bad intentions. I quickened my pace, my footsteps echoing like distant drum beats in the silence of the night. I stopped at a small clearing and gazed around, my breath visible in the cold air. The moonlit forest was still, except for the faint rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. My heart pounded in my chest, as if it too sensed the lurking evil. That's when I first saw it, a figure in the distance, moving among the trees. It was as if the night itself had taken human form. My heart leaped into my throat, and I hid behind a tree, peering through the leaves. The figure drew closer, revealing a tall, gaunt shape draped in tattered, pale rags. Its movements were jerky, inhuman, and its skin seemed to shimmer. I watched in terror as it turned its head towards me, with its eyes glowing. It had no features, just empty, soulless sockets where its eyes should be. My breath caught in my throat, and my limbs froze, and I was paralyzed by fear. It took a step closer, and I felt its presence like a weight on my chest. It knew I was here. Its gaze bore into me, and I could sense its hunger for my fear. My heart thundered in my ears as I stepped out behind the tree and made eye contact with the creature, hoping to confront my fear, stupidly. But as soon as our eyes locked, the creature took off, vanishing like thin air. The terror of that encounter lingered, etched into my very soul, as I realized I'd been stalked by something that seemed like a skinwalker. My friends never believed me, and I can't blame them for that. But all I know is that I'm never gonna venture into the woods alone again. Gas station. The gas station sat in solitude, far from any signs of civilization, and I had a long, desolate stretch of highway ahead of me. I was going on a road trip to visit my friends, so I got out of the car and had to get gas, as I had no idea how far the next gas station was ahead of me. The place seemed abandoned, like the air was thick with silence and nobody was around at all. I glanced at the empty pumps and wondered if the station was even open, but my fuel gauge was plummeted dangerously low. It was now or never at this point. I approached the convenience store, its glass door covered in a thin layer of grime. With a hesitant push, the door creaked open. A bell chimed above me, announcing my presence. The interior was dimly lit, and rows of dusty snacks and expired goods lined the shelves, the same stuff that was in most gas stations. Behind the counter stood a clerk, a wiry man with hollow eyes and a weathered face, who watched me with an unsettling intensity. "Need some gas?" he asked in a raspy voice. I nodded and held up my credit card, trying to avoid eye contact with him, because it was quite unsettling. The man took it without a word, and he began the transaction, his eyes never leaving mine. As the transaction processed, I felt a strange sensation of being watched, not just by the clerk, but by something else. I turned my head to scan the store's dim interior, and behind me was a man lurking near the slushy machine. I wondered if the clerk had seen it all, and if he was going to do anything about this man who had his eyes also set on me. I took a step back, looking at the man by the slushy machine, trying to grab my credit card and get out of the place as quick as possible. He took a step towards me, and another, and another. Something was so off about him, as his hood hid most of his features. The clerk also acting unexpectedly weird, with both of them in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, just looking at each other in an empty gas station. Something wasn't right here. So as soon as those boots came upon me, I grabbed the credit card and ventured back to my car. As I exited, I heard the bell of the door once again, and then once more, as something followed me outside. I'd finally reached my car. I slammed the door shut and floored the gas pedal, leaving the gas station far behind. As I sped away, I glanced in my rearview mirror, half expecting to see the man lurking in the distance, but there was something different, something completely strange. I saw two glowing red eyes in my rearview mirror, and that's when I continued looking forward, never looking back again.